went off the weekend. Massive house. It's quite good weekend. Ah, well. If you asked, I would have.
Okay, that's right. Just what I want.
About 2 days.
Oh God, I have no idea. I must do something. Oh, it's on auto lock. No, I don't want that. Oh no, I want manual. Later.
Talking to some man, I thought it was you. I love that outfit. You have a nice time.
Good luck.
I never had such a celebration of 25 years of marriage. It's a huge party.
Fine, guys, I mean now.
Lovely. I like the smell of this party. Oh no. Probably going to stop.
Wonderful sight.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our 3-day look at the wedding. Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, Joe Denby. I hope I've been good. 3 videos. I must say that I've had a fun time recording it. And now, I'm Joseph Denby, signing off for now, until the troubles really begin. Ha 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 ha.
Now then, I suppose we'll
Taste it.
collect the caterer's stuff on one item.
Day after the wedding, they've gone off on their honeymoon.
We're not going to see them again till next Saturday.
Next Saturday? Next Saturday. Thought they were going for 2 weeks.
No, 6 days.
That's nice.
Now these buckets belong to our little, so we ought to take them.
I'll go around 2 weeks. I'm going to constitute. You shouldn't be, because...
We bring gifts of homage to your feet, Anna and Richard. Day after the wedding. And that concludes our 4-day outlook. So, today, and for tomorrow, for the rest of our lives, Anne and Richard will be one body and soul. Or so the saying goes. I was your host, and host, Joseph Denby. I hope I did good enough voiceovers for you. Indeed, this has been a pleasurable occasion for all. In case you're wondering, today is Sunday. The last night was very exciting and yet full of spiritual vows and other useless nonsense which better off never being invented. However, I'm sure that we all wish them very well in their forthcoming marriage with each other. Let us wish them the best, always the best for each other. So, congratulations to you. I raise a toast to you and hope that you will have a wonderful life together. Here we have the wedding cake. Not much symbolic reference there. However, it's not always a good thing to have in the archives, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Fade out. Magic.
Hello, darling.
And has she,
Have you had lots
does she exhibit at the gallery? Has she got,
Yeah.
Or has she got her own gallery?
No, she exhibits at galleries.
Yeah, she's got two songs.
Don't do that.
you get any of those, throw it away.
Hello, Daddy.
Hello, Joe.
Daddy, are you worried about your speech?
I'm feeling nervous about it. It's coming up soon.
I suppose, have you got your presents for Richard Parks? Your little note?
They're a secret. Be quiet.
I can't tell you. What's your poem like?
Grinning up, gurgling up at the photographer, and entirely in focus and looking every inch a star. The quality of the photograph told me that it was one of those rare interlopers taken by somebody other than myself, and this one was taken by Adrian. And the caption on the photograph told me that the bonny baby girl was Anastasia Stokes, born on the 4th of June, well, I won't say. As they say in witness statements, more than 21 years ago. And happily, only yesterday, it was her birthday. And 3 weeks after that, Sheila's diaries tell me that it was then that I went off to St. Peter's to be godfather at her christening, thanks to Adrian and Veronica inviting me to accept that honor, which I gladly did. Not very onerous. During the course of the next few years, we corresponded occasionally, always instigated by myself, having to write to Anastasia rather shamefacedly and saying, "I'm terribly sorry, I've forgotten your birthday again." And it was very good for her, I'm sure, because it meant that she had to write back very sweetly, as she always did, and saying it didn't matter a bit. I'm sure really she was thinking to herself, he's a fat-headed old fool for forgetting year in and year out. I always promised to be better, but I broke the promise regularly, year by year. But there it was. That was a very happy start to my relationship with Anastasia, and so things progressed. And Anastasia progressed. It's not appropriate to go through her whole life history. One or two things that come to mind in the overall context of where she finds herself now. At the end of her school career, she took the lead in Trial by Jury. I wonder whether that was prophetic in any way. I don't know. Was that what caused her to be interested in the law, which she eventually came to be interested in? One doesn't want to draw the analogy too close, of course, because those of you who know your Gilbert will remember that the closing line in Trial by Jury is the learned judge leaping to his feet and proclaiming, "I'll marry her myself." We're a trifle indelicate at this stage. But there it is. There was that little glimpse, perhaps, of the law, but it took some time to mature. She took degrees in law, in languages. She taught in Cairo. She came back from Cairo. Having been to Cairo myself, I'm not in the least bit surprised she wanted to come back from it. But there it is. She came back from Cairo and then was interested in the law. And she started looking at the law and got interested in the law in London. And then she came and got rather more interested in the law in Andover. And now, bless my soul, she's interested in the law in Winchester and has got herself ensconced in an office about as close to my court as she could possibly get. Now, I don't know whether that's coincidence or not, but it has the very happy consequence. I better be careful what I say, because her employer is here listening to her, I know. Listening to me, as I know. But from time to time, I can only say swans into my court. It looks for all the world like one of the swans on the Itchen navigation that are just straying occasionally to an unfamiliar part of the waterway just to survey the scene and then to paddle their way back again. Anastasia comes into the back of the court and I see this stately, glamorous figure coming along the back, and she sits down in the back row and she looks down and then she looks up and she flutters her eyelashes at me. And grins. She knows I'm a silly, sentimental old sausage. I don't know quite what she does, what she's there for, but she gets up and she quietly goes out again, having turned my knees to jelly and distracting me terribly from what I'm supposed to be doing. Well, that's brought us up to date. There she is. And from the falling of the curtain, the final performance of Trial by Jury, to the sun coming out this afternoon, that is your life, Anastasia. But all of you who know her will know that, as the hymnologist said, being thrown on life's surge, she has conducted herself in a way which has caused all of us who know her to be full of the greatest admiration for what she has done over the last, I won't say how many years, since the last performance of Trial by Jury until the last time she came swanning into my court. What was it, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before I went on holiday. So that is Anastasia. Richard I know rather less about, sadly. He is also a lawyer, which I suppose ought to be a recommendation, or I ought to think of it as a recommendation. I'm sure it is. He is obviously a man of very great taste. He is obviously a man of sound judgment and able to make very proper decisions for himself. That is a decision I suppose we each have to make for ourselves, and it is said that a lawyer who acts for himself is a fool for a client. But not Richard, obviously. He has made very appropriate choice, and he has been exceedingly sensible. And so it is with confidence that I am able to ask you to drink to their health, in the hope that they will not have any problems with the fact that they are solicitors in different practices in different towns, but close enough to have potentially clients who might not get on with each other. And one wonders what the conversation might be at the breakfast table. I don't know. I hope that Richard won't grow too like Father William, who you remember said that he argued each case with his wife, and the muscular strength which it gave to his jaw had lasted the rest of his life. They both of them have pretty formidable, firm jawlines, I would say. A pretty determined couple. It'd be rather fun to look at some correspondence if they ever did have clients in a contentious situation. Dear sirs, we find your attitude to our proposals entirely without understanding. How are you able to adopt such a posture? Or maybe, dear sirs, we find that we have not had even the courtesy of an acknowledgement of our letter to you of the 15th ult or the 30th inst, and if we don't hear from you by the 3rd prox, that's how solicitors talk to you. We shall have to take proceedings. It will be interesting, and one wonders how their situation might develop in those circumstances. I have not had the pleasure of being in a family where there is more than one lawyer, and in those circumstances I could speak without experience, but I'm sure they will be able to get over any problems that might arise if they find their clients rather less easygoing than they are themselves. So, ladies and gentlemen, it seems to me, and I hope you agree, that in all the circumstances that we have witnessed over the last however many years it is, and the ceremony that we were privileged to be present at this afternoon, in wishing them every blessing of the church, every blessing from ourselves, every good wish for their future, would you be good enough to rise and drink to the health of Richard and Anastasia?
It's one of those rare occasions that a solicitor hardly ever is able to enjoy, is speaking after a judge and knowing that he doesn't have the right to reply. But can I say, firstly, Martin, if I may call you that, thank you so much for those lovely kind words, and your description of my wife. Drifting into your court and out again is something that I can identify with. At one point she drifted into my life and drifted out again, but I'm delighted to say that we drifted back together, and the result is today. I had written a lovely long speech for you all, but there's a gentleman here going around that turned it into a little foam red ball. So I'm afraid you're just going to have the shortened version. There are so many people that I want to thank for today and everything that's led to today. It's difficult to know quite where to start. An awful lot of work has gone into putting together this reception here. We've had flowers and balloons and things coming through the door. There are two people I'd like to thank particularly for flowers. There's Anne Liddell and Judith Everett Heath, who've produced volumes of flowers for us here today. And my mother-in-law creating with those flowers, and I think you'll agree it's a lovely, lovely ambience and atmosphere here today. Also, another person who's worked tirelessly behind the scenes is Kay Cuff, who, with Veronica, has been busy putting together all this that's made it happen today, and I would like to thank her for her invaluable efforts. I know the bridesmaids are going to give a thank you, I hope, but I'd like to...
What?
You're the best man. But I would like to thank the bridesmaids who looked absolutely delightful. And the ring bearers also in church today. Super, Gabriel and Anya. Thank you very much. And I think you'll agree also that in the church the choir were absolutely superb.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I know they're not here, but really I think a round of applause because they were superb. And I want to thank this is my spot. Coming to the rings in the church, these have been created by my sister-in-law. I'm sorry, I've got so many in-laws today. I'm going to have to think hard who everybody is. Felicity made two most beautiful rings, and she also made Anastasia's engagement ring. They were labours of love, I think, and thank you, Felicity, for that. Super. There are also lots of people who've come a long, long way to be here with us today. In particular, I guess the furthest prize goes to Min and Carl, who come from Australia. The other part of my family, Carol, David and Richard have come from Montreal, and Sarah from Barcelona. So great to see them all here. And my very own ring bearer, of course, Anya, has come from Liechtenstein. Some other overseas, I think we've had Susan here from America. Terence and Angela, I think, have come from France today. And I know a lot of you have come a long distance, some from Scotland. I can't thank you all, but thanks ever so much for coming here today, making it really the day that it is. I'm only sorry that my mother's not here. She was in the church. She's not terribly fit, but she was determined to make the church service, but couldn't come here. But anyway, it's lovely that she was able to do that. I hope I've covered all the important people, and those that I've missed out, sorry, but you'll have to forgive me. But there are three other people that need special thanks, apart from Gabriel, who's there.
Speech.
Speech.
The first, who were introduced to me when Anastasia said one day, let's go to the V&A. And I thought, yes, I like a good museum. But in fact, what she meant was Veronica and Adrian. You cannot believe the effort that they have put into putting together today. The gardening that's gone on, and I'm sorry we haven't been able to enjoy the garden as much as we might have done, but they have worked tirelessly for, I think it was the 15th of February, the day after Anastasia and I were engaged, that they started work on this day and have hardly stopped since. They have really done so much. They've worked and put together all the church service and the arranging the choir and everything. And I have to give them a special thank you both for everything you've done for us today. Just one other person who needs my sincere thanks, and that's Anastasia for agreeing to be my wife. So that's really what I have to say today, and I'm not quite sure who I'm supposed to propose a toast to now, best man, but however, I might have proposed the bridesmaids at this stage. I'm replying. Well, then I'm just going to thank once again Martin for all his kind words, and I thank all of you for coming today and everything that you've put into today. So thank you very much indeed.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
You're supposed to be the best man.
I think the role of the best man is not to be the best man at all. Quite the opposite. It's very misnamed. I was really very touched and honoured when Richard asked me to be his best man. It's no secret that Richard and I have not known each other all that long. Our relationship doesn't predate his relationship with Anastasia. And when Richard did ask me to stand here today, I couldn't resist asking him, well, I assumed that, you know, there'd be some old chum. When he proposed to Anastasia, I assumed there'd be some old chum who would act in this role today. So when he asked me, I couldn't resist asking him, why me? And his reply was revealing, and I think it tells us an awful lot about his determination to make a very great success of this marriage. What he said was that he's looking to the future, and that the person he wanted, the people he wanted to be with today and to represent him today were the people who were going to be a part of his future. Well, Richard, I'm very delighted that I'm going to be part of your future, and I'd like to welcome you. Speech! But when you marry somebody, you don't just gain a wife, but you also have a chance to get a whole new family if you want to, because not everybody does. Richard has a chance to gain a very large new family.
All of us.
And actually, he's been determined from the outset to do just that. He's really, you know, he's clearly embraced Anastasia, but he's also embraced. Well, Richard, we wholeheartedly welcome you to the wider family. We're very pleased you're going to be part of.
Very good.
Some of you may know that Richard, his actual proposal to Anastasia was made in front of the whole family on Valentine's Day this year. A brave man indeed. And I have to promise you, I have to tell you that there wasn't a dry eye in the house. I think Richard must have had some help from the Poet Laureate with his proposal ode, because it was very good. If ever he wants to give up his day job, he certainly can. If he'd gone down on one knee, he'd have disappeared under the table. So he didn't do that. But instead he proffered with one hand a large ring in a traditional velvet lined box, and in the other a large hanky, because there were tears. All this was done in front of the beady gaze of his assembled family-to-be, his mother-in-law and his father-in-law, a rather cynical gaze of his sister-in-law-to-be and brother-in-law, who's not often moved. But we all were on this occasion. It really was a wonderful occasion. I was particularly impressed by a couple of people there who had advance intelligence of what was coming and had managed to keep it a secret. In a small divergence from tradition, Richard had sought Gabriel's permission for his mother's hand.
For a strange reason.
And all signs were that this was willingly given. But to keep a secret like that was a very mature thing to do. Well done, Gabriel. Yay! The other person, as usual on these occasions, was Felicity. Richard rang her up just after Christmas, saying, and I can't imitate the voice, but he said, I've got this friend who needs a wedding ring, an engagement ring.
He's making this.
Felicity asked when the friend needed it by, and Richard replied, Valentine's Day. He clearly, you know, thought things through well in advance. I don't know how Felicity managed to keep secret such an exciting commission, but I do know that she was motivated to produce one of her best pieces of work yet.
Yes, thank you.
Speech.
I demand a speech.
Now, It's the responsibility of the best man on these occasions to relate embarrassing stories from the groom's past, from the time before he met the bride. Some of those episodes that he'd much rather forget and would certainly not want made known on an occasion like this.
You're not going to, you're the best man.
Richard, as you know, is a pillar of propriety. Our stag night was a sedate affair, and I'm afraid that I